Good morning. We shall learn about fundamentals of economics today. We shall learn some few fundamental topics, fundamental concepts about economics. Before that, what is economics? Economics is, if somebody asks you what is economics is a subject that is a study of, economics is a study of how a society uses the resources to produce valuable goods and services and to allocate the same or distribute. It means that a society, how it uses the resources. Resources is nothing but any natural resources, whether it may be a wood or leaves or whatever it may be. How a society uses its resources to produce goods and services, to produce and to distribute the same. It means not only production, it is not concerned just only with the production, it is it is also concerned with how that product is distributed among the society. The study of this is economics. And then you might have heard about two terms, macroeconomics and microeconomics. What does these terms mean? Macroeconomics, by the term it indicates that economics of macro scale. That means economics, a study of economics, or it is a branch of economics which deals with the economy as a whole. Economy as a whole. That is, for example, at national level, you might ask what is economy at the national level. You will eventually understand that is fiscal stability, inflation, that price level is called inflation, monetary stability. All this is studying economy as a whole at the national level is macroeconomics, and the microeconomics is economics of a company, a particular company. That is, for example, how to augment the profits of a company, particular firm, how to augment its profit, how to organize the resources of a company. That is all microeconomics. That is, this is macroeconomics at the national level. It studies economy as a whole. That is macroeconomics, and this is microeconomics. So we have learned macroeconomics, microeconomics, and what is economics. And then we shall study about what are the sectors of economy. What are all the sectors of, that means what economy comprises. There are 4 sectors of economy. Which are those 4 sectors? 4 sectors of economy are, first one is government. Of course, we all know that government is a major player in economy. And the second one is private sector. Third one is household sector. This is population actually. This is creating demand. Whatever we produce is consumed by household only now. This is a demand drive. We shall discuss about it later. And the fourth sector is external sector. External sector means export and imports. These are the 4 sectors of economy. And sir, this private is there, household is there, these both are same. No. Private means businesses. Private businesses. They are people, population, household. These are the 4 sectors of economy. After learning this, we shall see how a production takes place in an economy. That means we all know that the production takes place, right? What are the factors required for the production? That is factors of production. Factors of production. It means that to produce something, what do you need? To produce something, we have to produce something. If we want to produce anything, whether chair or this duster or this cap, to produce, what do we need? We need first one important person. Who is it? Is entrepreneur. And what he should have to produce. First of all, he should have capital. It might be physical capital. Physical capital, I mean like a machine, or financial capital like money, or like intellectual capital. Intellectual capital. What does meant by intellectual capital? Intellectual capital means you have produced something, you have invented something, you have research and development is there, right? That is intellectual capital. For example, intellectual property rights, patents. Those are intellectual capital. See, this is all capital. He requires capital and he is an entrepreneur. These are two factors of production. And what does he need? He needs some land, right? What is this? Natural resources. Of course, you need natural resources, raw materials to produce whatever you want to produce. This duster or this layer or this pencil, there is some natural resources are required. With money you cannot produce. There is raw materials, you require raw materials, and you require natural resources for that. Here, for example, we are taking it as land, and then who will produce it? He will do all the job? No. There are laborers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Capital, entrepreneur, and labor and natural resources are the four factors of production. These are the four factors of production. You take whatever the element, whether it is a car, aeroplane, helicopter, or whatever it may be. These are the four factors of production. And what will be, how an entrepreneur will benefit from this? He will take away the profit. Profit is taken by him. Capital, if you take, for example, if you take financial capital only, whether you invest something with your own money or not, basically there is an interest inherited with it. So if you take loan, then capital, there is an interest paid back. Entrepreneur, profit is paid back. If capital, interest is paid back. And what is laborers? Laborers will take back their wages and this natural resources. For example, land, the rent is given. So this is how the production happens in an economy. Whatever the firm may be, whatever the production may be, these are the four factors of production, and what will they take home from this is a profit. And interest, entrepreneur will take profit. Capital, interest will be given for capital. Laborers will get wages, and for land or natural resources, you have to pay rent. After understanding the factors of production, what do we produce, sir? Goods and services. We all know that. Goods, you know. Services, you know. IT sector, for example. But when it comes to the goods, there are different types of goods. You have to understand different types of goods to understand the further topics. What the types of goods? What are the different types of goods? Different types of goods is, one is capital good. The other is consumption good. Third one is intermediary good. What is this capital good? Capital good is a good which is used to produce another good. For example, flour mill is there. You take wheat there, it will give you flour. So capital goods are those goods which will convert one good into another form. That is, it is used to produce another good. It is by this, it is not a consumption. It is not a final good. Goods which are used to produce other goods. Consumption goods are finally consumed by the population or whoever customer it may be. Consumption goods are examples like whatever might be, TV or like a bread, meal. They are consumed. These consumption goods cannot be used to further produce another production. So this is a consumption good. And intermediary good. Intermediary good is a good which gets transformed in the process. It is for example, here you take a wheat and a bakery. He will purchase wheat. He will do something. He will do some cooking and all. Then he will produce what? He will produce a bread. So here, this wheat flour was there, right? Wheat flour. This is an intermediary good. It gets transformed into another product. This is an intermediary good. So there are basically three types of goods. One is consumption good, capital good, and intermediary good. And after learning this, now we can understand how an economy will be valued. That is, so okay, fine. Let me ask you a question, right? Like this: how to measure an economy? Who will measure? How to measure? Why we have to measure? Why we have to measure? The answer is what can be measured can be regulated and it can be augmented. We have to measure where we are, economy, where we are, what is getting produced in the country, how to calculate the products. That is why there is a concept called GDP. GDP is gross domestic product. Understand this? Gross domestic product is the final value of all goods and services produced in a domestic territory. You stick on to this definition because this definition is useful in many ways. If you understand this definition very carefully, you can eliminate some options in MCQs and all. That is the final value of all goods and services produced in domestic territory is GDP. That is basically what is produced in our domestic territory is GDP. That means it means to say that what we are producing each and every year, GDP is growing, GDP is doing that, GDP is going well. These are all the things here. That is what is GDP means. What is being produced in a country is GDP. What does it mean by domestic territory, sir? Domestic territory means is it the landmass of a country? Yes, of course, but there is a little bit much more definition to it. Domestic territory includes the political frontiers. That means the map is there, right? Sorry, I'm bad at mapping. This is country. Political frontier. This political frontiers, it includes political frontiers, and this. There is a given clause definition, United Nations Convention on Law of Sea. No need to go into that level. For now, you understand this. This 12 nautical miles. This 12 nautical miles from this border is called territorial waters. Territorial waters. So second option is it includes territorial waters and ships and vessels operated by Indian residents, and it includes embassies, consulates and military establishments of India in abroad. Right? These are all the domestic territory. Means domestic territory by this definition. What is domestic territory means? It is a political frontier, and it includes territorial waters, and it also includes ships, vessels operated by Indian residents, and also the embassies, consulates and military establishments of India in abroad. Then the question arises like, sir, what about the embassies, consulates and military establishments of abroad countries or foreign countries in India? Yes, of course we are excluding them. Minus embassies, consulates and military establishments of abroad or foreign countries in India. This is what is domestic territory. You understood like what is GDP, gross domestic product. That is final value of goods and services produced in a domestic territory, and you also include this in a definition, produced in a domestic territory for a specific period of time. For example, take a financial year. Our financial year starts from April to March, right? In that specific period, what is this domestic territory is producing is a gross domestic product of our country. And I do not know the exact value, but according to my memory, it stays around nominal GDP. We shall discuss what is nominal and real and all. It is a 250 lakh crore around. It might be that level. So domestic territory. And one thing you can see here, this gross domestic product, it says that final value of all goods and services produced in domestic territory. That means whoever can produce, whether it might be an Indian or it might be a foreigner also. You should produce in this domestic territory. Domestic territory keyword is very useful here. GDP is nothing but final value of all goods and services that are produced in a domestic territory. That means in domestic territory, whatever being produced is an Indian GDP. Everybody can produce, whether a foreigner coming in India and he is establishing a business and he can also undertake a business, he can produce. That will be calculated as GDP. And then the other concept is their gross national product. There we exclude them. But now, right now, understand this. Whatever is produced in domestic territory by whoever it is, this domestic territory is considered as gross domestic product, that's GDP. How to calculate GDP, sir, then? Can we ask everybody to report their goods and services, to update their market value of all their goods, to tell their MRP rupees, or shall we go to market and write down each and every product's prices? There are three ways to understand, three ways of calculation of GDP. First one is product method or value added method. Second one is expenditure method. Third one is income method. How this product method is calculated? The product method is, we just take all the final values, final value of all goods and services, or just take up value added. We just add up value added by each firm. If you add the value addition of each firm, you will also get product. What is value addition, sir? For example, you take this. Take that example again. There is a bakery. He purchases wheat for 100 rupees and he produces 1 pound of bread from that. 1 pound of bread from that. That is 150 rupees. What does this mean? This means that what is the value added by this bakery? The value added is 50. And here what you are doing is you are just adding up all the value added of all the firms in India, all the firms in domestic territory. Each and every firm will be adding their own values. I take something, I produce something, and in between the price varies. And what is value added? What value I am adding to the product? That is taken. Every firm will add a value. If you calculate all the value added, that is value added by all the firms, then you will get a GDP or the product or the final product. This is product method or value added method. Then expenditure method. As I said, we studied that different types of goods, right? That is capital goods, capital goods, intermediary goods, and consumption goods. Now it is required here. Expenditure method. Expenditure method means whatever you produce in an economy, ultimately that has to be consumed by the other sectors of economy. Who will purchase it? Nobody will purchase it from the aliens won't purchase it. For right now, whatever you produce in the market, that will be consumed by the other sectors of economy only. Who will consume? For example, what is the expenditure incurred? They have to incur an expenditure to purchase them. So, for example, you take government. Government will undertake both consumption expenditure also and investment expenditure also. Investment expenditure means purchasing capital goods. Consumption expenditure means purchasing consumption goods. So that is, they are ready. You can consume it. That is, you remember that. Government's expenditure. That will be all. If you add all the expenditures of sectors, you will again get the GDP, right? Because that has to be consumed by other sectors of the economy. Government, and then investment expenditure. That is, other persons can also purchase capital goods. And consumption expenditure, or the households will purchase consumption goods. And exports minus imports. This is external sector. Basically, imports are excluded because why? See, as I said in the definition, domestic territory keyword is very important. These imports are not produced in domestic territory; they are produced in a foreign territory, and they are imported, and hence we have to remove them. You import something, and you cannot tell that the Indian GDP is this much. Imported things, imports are not included in GDP. That is for sure. You have to take this imports out of this calculation, and then income method. Income method, I told you, 4 factors of production, right? Whatever you produce in this economy, that has to be ultimately the income of four groups, that is 4 sectors of production. First one is there are, the entrepreneur profit. Rent, he pays interest to the capital, interest, and then rent, and then labor wage. These are the 4 incomes of factors of production. If you add all the profits, all the interests of the country, and all the rents, all the wages of laborers in the entire country, you will again get GDP. This is what? This is income method, this is expenditure method, and this is product method. These are the 3 methods of producing GDP, calculating GDP. So, who will calculate GDP? On what basis we are calculating GDP? India is using which method? India is using all the 3, right? NSO, there is an NSO called National Statistics Organization. It is under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. This is calculating GDP at market price since 2015 market price, and the base year is 2011 to what is base year, what is market price, what is factor cost, we shall discuss it further, we shall discuss it later. If you just remove taxes, it will become factor cost, we shall discuss it later. But NSO right now is calculating GDP based on product method and expenditure method. We are not calculating this income method, and there are discrepancies between them because we are not getting exact data of what is this consumption expenditure, because the population is purchasing, right? We do not know this exact value, and hence there is a differences between calculating GDP through product method and expenditure method. So right now GDP is calculated by NSO and product method or expenditure method. Thank you.